to this video about some planning that needs to go along with the creation of a database and queries and perhaps a report. So this is the planning side of things. So this is the template, the blank template that you should be able to download from the student shared drive. If you're unsure where to locate that, please ask your teacher. Okay, so each part of this needs to be filled in, so I'm just going to go through each page using the Quick Access Loans Ltd or the telephone lending database to fill in these parts here. So rather than type it all in, I will just swap back and forth between the two. Okay, so let's have a look at this as a completed page. So put the heading in at the top. Quite often students forget to do that. Okay, you need to carefully explain the purpose of the database. Now, quite often you can get that from the assessment material that you've been given, the brief. Okay, so in this case, we're holding staff information about loans, repayments. Okay, staff are going to put their own results and information in. Management are going to use it to monitor progress. So there's quite a few key things there. What management will do with it, what the staff are going to do with it, and the fact that it's going to hold information. What information about the loans, repayment, insurance policies to the clients. Okay, then the target users, who is going to use it. And quite often I see students put in here the clients. They're not using it. It's information about loans and repayment insurance policies sold to clients. That's true, but it's the information about what staff have done. So who's going to use that? Well, it's the lending staff and the management who are going to use it. Okay, now the database model, this part here, you need to carefully explain what kind of database you're using. Now, big clue here, for this 2787 unit that you're doing, okay, for those who are doing this the unit standard, you're always going to be using a flat file database. And why? Because all the data can be placed into one table and it doesn't need to be linked to other tables. That kind of answer basically can go each time in. Okay, what do we got next here? Well, we've got the various field names across here. These don't have to be full names, they can be abbreviations like F name, L name. This is an insurance policy sold, so I've got some underscores in between the parts there. Okay, the type, okay, the field size in this case. Okay, so the personnel number had to be a number less than, or 4-digit number, so it would have to be less than 9,999 or equal to that. The format, what kind of numbers are they? So these are integers. This is currency, but what's the format? 2 decimal places. The last meeting and next meetings with dates, what's the format? Well, I've chosen medium format here. If they don't say what format to use in the assessment, then you should put that in here. Now, one thing I haven't put in here is what time format, and to be quite honest, I need to go and check to see what would be an appropriate format, but perhaps short time format would be appropriate here. Okay, moving on to the next part. So this part here, all the queries that you need to create and the report you need to create need to be listed in detail here. Okay, so what does that look like? Something like this. Okay, so each query, there are 8 of them, and a short description about what the query needs to do. The report, a clear description. This is basically taken straight from the assessment sheets about what the report needs to show. And the next section underneath that was the constraints. Now, is there anything about the database or the reports or the queries that are a requirement of the management in this case? Well, they wanted to access information using queries, so they only wanted one report for printing. So that was a constraint. We can't produce everything to be printed off and given to them. Okay, so that's an example then of a constraint, and really the only one that you'd have in this particular practice assessment. Okay, this next part, okay, so over here on the blank one, okay, the steps and milestones. So this is a description, around about half a dozen or so steps to get the assessment and then to complete it down here. So what steps are required once you've got the assessment through to submitting it, with some approximate dates. This section here often left out by students, can't be. And then also resources, there should be something in this column here. So let's have a look and see. Okay, so what have I got? Yeah, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 steps here, so it's not a big deal. Okay, so I've put today's date in here just as an example. So if I got the assessment today, what would be the kinds of things I would do? Well, first of all, read over the assessment. What's required? What's required for the database? What queries are required? What reports are required? I can also, once I've read over that and clarified anything I need to with the teacher, same day, today, I can decide on the database model, because that's pretty simple. It's going to be a flat file one. Okay, today and tomorrow, okay, I can create my database structure. Let's go back up to here. This structure, this table, create the fields, field type, put the formatting in. That's what I'm talking about here. So let's create that. Once we've created it, I'm then going to enter the data. Excuse me. Okay, then next I want to, once I've put the data in, check it for accuracy. So I need to print it out, tick the data off, that kind of thing. Right, once I've got the data in, I want to create the queries, print each one out, check to see if it's a sensible result. And if there's anything unexpected or it just looks incorrect, investigate that, fix it up, and then move on to the next query. Do the same for the report. Okay, create it, check it for accuracy. If there are totals or averages, they should be checked with a calculator. Okay, so one thing over here that I didn't put in, and so let's add this in here. I'm going to use a calculator, so that is a resource. Other things I'm going to need at different times, obviously computer, printer, Access software. Okay, once I've basically finished the practical work, I then need to create the end user document, and then also I need to indicate how I've checked the database queries and report, and that is going to be underneath here, a little bit about that. Once I've basically done that, I've really finished. So now I need to submit the material for marking. All the printouts, the assessment sheets, also the electronic files need to be sent through to the teacher. For this end user document and this planning document as well, I need some Word software. Okay, last of all, testing and evaluation procedures. Okay, so these are just some sensible things to do to make sure that what you've created doesn't have any obvious mistakes in it. So, first of all, check the database structure is sensible. Okay, so this part up here, is that sensible? Okay, if I've got, for example, loans, which is the number of loans, if I put short text here, that's not going to be sensible. So that needs to be checked over. I need to just spend some time making sure that's right. Okay. Okay, so if I check those and format those correctly, I'm going to be able to create the queries and the reports properly. If I get that wrong, I'm not going to be able to. Right, check once you put the data in. Once again, you print out the table, check each piece of data is accurate, and you tick basically at the end of each row of the table on the printout to indicate that you've checked it and they're correct. Circle any errors, correct them if needed. You don't need to do another printout at this stage. Check each query would be another thing to test your database. Are the results sensible? If you're doing an action query, like in this one, the total bonus, okay, check some results of this particular query with a calculator. So add the performance bonus together with the, what's the other one bonus here? The sales bonus. So you add those two together to get the total bonus. So check 2 or 3 of them with a calculator. Are they right? Once again, circle any errors, fix these. In this case, yes, you would do a new printout once you're for the query. Do not throw away old printouts that are wrong. You need to hand those in with the new ones. Okay, print out the report. That's one of the things that needs to be done. Is it formatted properly? So for example, are the headings lined up with the data underneath? Is it well presented? Is all the data showing? So we don't have any numbers or headings cut off. This is one thing you would, test and check. Evaluation means to check. Okay, check almost last of all, check over the end user document. Get someone else to read over this. Make sure they follow it. Now put in here who read over it. So I don't expect to see this in your one. Jack Frost doing the checking because Father Christmas was not available because he was breaking in a new reindeer. That's not sensible. Just put that in, and I hope nobody has that line in when you submit your work. Okay, so you put in who read over the end user document for you. Last of all, go over the assessment, the brief, make sure you have completed everything that is required. Okay, and that's it. So thank you for your time, and hopefully that will help when